Good evening all. Welcome to Python programming classes. So today we'll discuss the basics of Python programming. We'll start with the history of Python and what are the different versions available in Python, and then we'll move on why Python programming is required, and then we'll close with what are the different applications that we can done with Python programming. So that is of today's session. So depends on time, we'll move on to what are different IDEs and how we are going to install Python in any of operating systems. So I'll start with the history of Python. So the Python programming language was invented by Rossum in Netherlands in 1991. Actually, he started work in 1989. So at CWI, which is in Netherlands, he started implementing Python in December 1989, but he posted the code at alternate sources in February 1991, which is the version numbered 0.9.0, so which is a below version of 1. Lambda, map, filters, and reduce were among the new features which is added to a Python. Hello. అరే ఏమైంది ఇప్పుడు కూడా అలాగే రీవాయిస్ వస్తుందా? ఇప్పుడు చూడు, యాక్చువల్లీ ఇప్పుడు ఏ పాయింట్ అవుతుంది? ఫీచర్స్ ఫీచర్స్ కాదు, హిస్టరీ ఆఫ్. అయితే నువ్వు ఇంకా దీంట్లో ఉన్నావు. ఇప్పటి నుంచి చూడు ఒకసారి, నేను వాయిస్ మళ్ళీ తగ్గించాను. ఒకసారి ఇప్పుడు చెక్ చేయి, సరేనా? చేసి నాకు మెసేజ్ చేయి ఒకసారి. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. So I'll start with the history of the Python. So the Python programming language was invented by Rossum in 1991. So in 1980s itself, he started implementing of this Python programming. So at CWI in the Netherlands, so he personally started So at CWI in the Netherlands, so the person Rossum started implementing Python in December 1989. He posted the code It sources in February 1991, which is the version numbered version numbered 0.9.0. So which is earlier version of Python 1.0, and later the features like lambda, maps, filters, and reducers were added among the earlier version of Python, so which is 0.9.0. So it was launched in 1994, which is a Python version of 1.0. And after that, a list comprehensions and reduce were and garbage collection systems were new features which are added to a Python Z 2.0, and implementation was continued, and many features are going to be added, and it is getting into a new features. So nowadays we are using the Python version with 3.0. So that is 3.0, 1, 2, 3, like that, the versions of 3 we are going to use. And this 3.0 version was released on December 3rd, 2008. So the purpose of the Python was to fix the languages like basic problems. And the predecessor of the Python programming language is ABC programming language, which was capable of handling exceptions and interacting with the Amiibo operating system, which is considered to be the predecessor to a Python programming. So which we can say like ABC programming language, which will be the predecessor to a Python programming language. And Python is influenced by the programming languages like ABC language and Modular 3. So which are the previous languages to a Python. So this is a small history of the Python programming. Means the person invented the Python is the person like Rosum. So he is a person who invented the Python programming language. So nowadays Python programming is becoming more popular, and many of the fields we are going to use the Python programming. So why that much of important is given to a Python program, we are going to discuss. So the Python programming language is regularly finds new features and enhancements. So there have been numerous updates to a Python version since it is initially released in 1994. So that is the version 1 was released in December 1994, and later many of the features are added, and every time it is going to be updated with a new features, and different versions of Python was released. So I'll show you in the next slide. So what are the different versions of Python programming was invented, and which year those versions are released. So I'll show you that. So here we can find out a list of Python versions and along with the release dates. Now you can see here Python version 1.0, which was released in January 1994, and later we have the next version as Python 1.5 in 1997. At the end of December, that is 31st December, it was released, and after that 1.6, which was released in 2000. And you can see here we having a gap between every version is 3 years. Like you can find out after 1.6 version, now you can see the Python versions of 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 5, 6, 7 up to, and you are finding this vast evolution will be done within 10 years. Like you can observe that Python 2.0 version was invented and it was released in October 16th, 2000, and after that 2.1 was released in April 17, 2001. 2.2 was released in 2001 December itself, so it doesn't take a more time for releasing the next version of Python. And you can observe that there will be a gap between 2.2 and 2.3, so there will be 2 years gap in between, so it almost uh, it's almost 2.5 years. And later we have 2.4 version, which was released in November 30th, 2004. 2005 was released in September 19, 2006, and Python 2.6 was released in October 1st, 2008. So now the last versions in Python 2 was released in July 3rd, 2010. So in mean of that, you can find out the versions of Python 3. So the versions 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And at present we are using the Python version 3.10. So again there will be a extension version like 3.10 point something. So I hope nowadays we are using the latest version, that is 3.10.5. I'll show you a little bit later how you are going to find the latest version of Python. So this is the versions of Python. So now the thing started with Python programming language. So before we are going to learn Python, so why Python is getting that much of importance in nowadays, why everyone is interested to learn a Python programming language, we'll start with that discussion. So then we'll move on to what are the different applications we can do with a Python programming language. So now the question is, why Python programming? So before this Python programming language, and we are more aware with different programming languages like C, C++, Java, Pascal, like different programming languages we have. And every programming is having some syntax, and every programming is having some structure. So we have to follow and we have to remember the syntaxes to write the programming. So whenever there is a question of that, when we have a complex programs, it is finding difficulty to implement the logic in that programming languages. So now comes to a Python. Which is very easy programming language, and it's a vast language even, but it's very easy to understand. Everybody from any background, they can learn Python programming language without having any knowledge, because it doesn't having much syntax and very understandable, which consisting of a number of libraries, modules, and inbuilt functions, and various of data structures which is available with Python will makes more important for this time to learn. So Python is a cross-platform compatible. So you can say cross-platform compatible means we can run Python programming in any of operating systems. Like you can run your Python programs, Windows, Macs, Linux, Raspberry Pi itself. So we can run this Python program on multiple platforms, and the syntax of Python is straightforward and very similar to that of English language. So we don't bother about the syntaxes. And the Python syntax is differ from various other programming languages in that it is enables the programmers to write the applications with a fewer lines of code, because it doesn't having that much of syntax and that much of difficulty to implement the Python programming. Even we are going to write a complex programs, it doesn't take much lines of code. We can implement logic very straightforward, and it takes very less code to implement your logic. So as compared to the other programming languages like C, C++, Java, any other programming languages, you can feel like Python programming is very easy. As like other programming languages, Python is also a case sensitive language. And Python, it can operate on an interpreter system. So interpreter is nothing but you can execute the Python code line by line. So interpreter is having the capability to execute the code line by line. So which allowing us to immediate execution of the written code. So whatever the code you return, that is going to be executed immediately. So as a result, your prototype, it give you, or it proceeds very quickly, and it will give you the result very fast. So no need of compiling the Python programs. You can directly run the Python program because it is an interpreted program language. And Python can be used in a functional, object-oriented, or a procedural manner. So we can say Python programming language is both procedural and object-oriented. It can support both the features of your procedural as well as an object-oriented. So procedural means a function-oriented. So where everything you can write as a modules or a functions. So you can keep the code within a block only. We cannot keep, or we cannot write any statement outside of the blocks. It doesn't allow you as a functional or a procedural manner. Whereas in object oriented, it can support the features like class, objects, data hiding, polymorphism, inheritance. So every concept of an object oriented programming is going to be supported by the Python programming language. So because of this reason, we can learn the Python programming because of easy learning, because of easily understanding, right? So most of the people nowadays, they prefer a Python programming language. And this not only for that, and we can have many applications which are going to implement the Python programming very easy manner. That is also one of the reason why people showing that much of interested to learn a Python programming. So the reasons behind, people from any background, so they won't need of any basic knowledge on a computers or any programming languages, can also have a capability to learn a Python programming very easy. And it is going to be run on a multiple platforms. That is also one of the feature why we are going to learn. And Python syntax is very straightforward. And we can write a complex programs even with a very few lines of code. So as like other programming languages, a Python programming language is also consisting of a vast collection of libraries, inbuilt functions, different modules, which is supported to build a many type of applications. So we'll move on. What are different types of applications we can build with Python programming? So once you are aware of Python programming and you can understand the Python programming and you can able to build different types of applications by using this Python programming language. So these are a few applications we can create with Python programming. So those are web applications, desktop applications, console based applications, software development, scientific and numeric applications, business applications, audio or video based applications, 3D CAD applications, enterprise and image processing applications. So these are some list of applications we can build with Python programming, and we'll see in brief about each and every applications. So I'll start with web applications. So web application is nothing but the applications which we run on our internet. So it required an internet connection because you have to build an applications and that is hosted on server, and we need to run, again we need an internet. And by using this Python programming language, we can create a web applications. So what we see nowadays, right? What are the different applications we have? And those applications we can build with Python programming language. So this language is offers different libraries which can deal with various internet protocols, which including HTML, XML, JSON, email processing, request, and beautiful soup, feed parser, etc. So these are different libraries which is available in Python programming language, which is used to implement the web applications, right? So because we know like web applications are going to be run on internet, so most of the protocols we are using, and that protocols can support the connection of your internet and your email processings and the request what you are sending, and then data processing and everything. And for that, these are different types of libraries which is available in Python, which is used to implement your web applications. And we have different frameworks which is available with Python, which is used to create web applications very easily. So whereas coming to a framework is nothing but a template. So where we can keep your code in that template very easily and then build an applications fastly. We're coming to an example, Instagram, which is a social media platform, which everyone is familiar with that. So this Instagram uses Django. So this is a framework, right? So Django is a framework which is said to be a web framework, which is a Python framework which is used to build your web applications. So not only Django, we have many other web frameworks is available to build a web applications using Python. So those will be listed here. So Django and Pyramid framework, which can be used with a moderate applications when we have not less complex and not thinny applications we have, and we can implement those web applications with Django framework. For tiny applications, we can use flask and bottle. This is also one of the framework which is used for a small applications, web applications, which we can use to build with a Python programming. And then for a complex programs or complex applications, we are going to use a Plone and Django CMS, which is a framework which is used for a complex applications to build with a Python programming. So web application is nothing but the applications which we run on internet, right? So the application may be of anything which is to be implemented by using Python programming language, which can be run in your web browser. And the second one is desktop GUI applications. So GUI is nothing but a graphical user interface, whereas the desktop applications means these applications can run on a computer or a laptop where we install. So we cannot access desktop applications globally. It can be implemented and it can be installed in our systems, and where you are installed, there only you can use those applications. And coming to desktop GUI application is nothing but it's a standalone applications which is created for our desktop or laptop, and which is having a capability of GUI, that is a graphical user interface. Because nowadays we can see on operating systems like Windows 10, 11, 7, 8, whatever you have, these are graphical user interfaces, because you have your mouse and you can see the icons which is available on your desktop and you can easily interact with that. So that is a graphical user interface. So we can build a desktop GUI applications with a Python programming language, which will give every application a seamless user experience, because user can interact with that application very easily. That is the meaning of that. And in Java, in Python programming, we have a GUI library called PK for Python, which is available to create this user interfaces. And not only this, we have other libraries are available with Python programming to build a desktop GUI applications like Thinker TK, WX Widget M, Kiwi, and PyQuad or PySite. So these are some of the libraries which is available in Python programming. By using these libraries, we can build desktop GUI applications very easily. And the next applications are console based applications. The differences between desktop GUI based and console based applications are, these two are standalone applications, so those can run within a system only. We cannot run as globally like your web applications. Only the differences is, where in GUI you can use the mouse and you can see very easy interface, so you can interact with your application very easily. Whereas for console based applications, and here we have shell or command line execution, which is used to run your console based programs. So where we can run your programs at your command prompt. Simply you can use your Python shell. So there you can write your code and you can execute. So these are the you can give a command and you can click on an enter button. It will show you the result. So that is a console based applications. And these programs are the apps that run commands on a computers. So in the earlier program computer generations, so this type of applications was more popular. So nowadays people are not that much of interested to work with this console based applications. So they are move on to a graphical user interface, because anybody can understand and anybody can interact very easily. And this kind of applications may be created extremely well with Python, and it is known for having the read eval print loop, or REPL, which makes it the best language for a command line applications. So REPL uh, is a best language for a command line applications, and we can use this. Whereas the next applications are software developments. So we can build a softwares by using this Python programming language, and it works as a support languages, and it can be used to build a control and management testing, etc. And now these are some of software developments, like we can use sconce, which is used to build control applications, and buildbot and Apache Gums are used for an automated continuous compilation and testing applications, and round or track for backtracking and project management. So because we are software development as an applications of a Python, so which is used to build some supported languages, right, which can be used to build or a control or management or testing the softwares. So these are some of the frameworks which is used to build your software development by using Python programming. And then scientific and numerical applications, so we can also build with Python programming. So nowadays we know like it's an era of artificial intelligence and machine learning, deep learning, computer vision. So now it is an era of these things, and which makes your computer can act as a human. Like what a human can do, your computer can also do the same. So the best languages for an artificial intelligence or a machine language is a Python programming, because we are using this Python programming and we can implement these domains like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, data sciences, and all these things. And it has a large number of scientific and mathematical libraries, making it very simple to complete a difficult computations with a computer. So like many of the libraries are available with Python programming language, like NumPy, Pandas, Snowball, SkyPy, and SkyKit, and different programming, different libraries which is available with Python programming, which makes very easy to build mathematical or scientific applications. And we can also use these libraries to implement a machine learning algorithms also. So that is a part of scientific and numerical applications. And now comes to your business applications. Python are used to build up business applications like your e-commerce application. So we can say simply e-commerce application will comes under the business applications. And these are different from a standard applications like your desktop GUI or command based or a web applications. And this is differ from those. And ERP and e-commerce are the two examples of business applications. And the Python programming is offers all the capabilities to build this kind of programming, which including the readability, scalability, and extensiveness. So for the business applications, an all-in-one Python-based program with a variety of commercial applications is Odo. So this is one of the commercial application, so which is a Python-based program. And the Triton platform is offers us, which is given by the Python, which is used to build the business applications. So like a framework, we can say Triton, which is a platform which allows us by using this Python programming language to create a business applications. And then move on to audio or video based applications. So Python is a programming language which is flexible to perform a multiple task and can be used to create a multimedia applications also. So some of the multimedia applications which can made by using the Python programming is this theme player, C play, etc. And the libraries which is supported in Python to build this audio or video based applications are GStreamer, Pygelt, and Q2 Phonon. So these are the different libraries which is available in Python programming, which is used to build your audio or video based applications. And then 3D CAD applications. So Python is used for CAD applications also. So which is used to design engineering related architectures, and which the civil engineers or mechanical engineers can use this, and not only for limited to civil and mechanical, whereas for simulation works and everything EC domains also can use the CAD application, and which is used to develop the 3D representation of a part of the system. And Python can create this 3D CAD applications by using different functionalities like uh, Fandango, Camworks, Hix CNC, AnyCAD, RCAM. So these are different 3D CAD applications which are implemented by using this Python programming language. And the next applications are the enterprise applications. So this Python can be used to create an applications that can be used within an enterprise or an organization itself. And some real-time applications are OpenERP, Triton, Picalo, etc. are the examples of an enterprise applications. And we can also build an enterprise in the sense, so which can be used for an organization. So such applications also built by using Python programming language. And then image processing applications, like many of the libraries in Python programming language which is used to manipulate the images also. So we are able to modify the image to fit our needs, means depends on our requirement. We can make the changes on image by using this Python programming language. And for that also we need different libraries which is supported to process on Python image processing. And the libraries, these are the few libraries which are supported for image processing are OpenCV, Pillow, Simple TK, ITK. So I think you are familiar with OpenCV, which is work with a computer vision. So like we can work with moving images, like we can take a clipping of videos. So there an objects can move, so we can use that. So now you can see this OpenCV is one of the library which is available in Python and which is used to work with image processing applications. So these are different types of applications, so we can build by using Python programming. So many of these fields like artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, deep learning, and every of the domains, they are going to use this Python programming language to implement the algorithms and to do the analytical parts and everything. Because of that reason, so the Python programming language is getting more popular nowadays. And we have a communities, a large number of communities is available for Python programming. So whenever we have any difficulties we are getting with Python programming, so we have a possibility of getting solutions very easily and very fastly. So many of the people nowadays, they are working on this Python programming language. So they are keeping working on this and will give a better versions of Pythons used for different domains. So because of this reason, so nowadays everybody is getting a more uh, enthusiasm to learn this Python programming language. So before we are moving to practical part, before that we have to know a few things. So because of that reason, so I'll give you few technical words which we are going to use with Python programming language. So that is a text editors and IDEs. So now we'll see the difference between the text editors and IDEs where we have to write our Python programming language. So coming to our text editors, so which will provide you a space where you can write your code in a text format, and now you can use your compiler to integrate with your text editor in order to execute your Python programs. So you can go with any text editors like Notepad, Notepad++. So these are said to be a text editors. And whereas an IDE, it is an integrated development environment. So the difference between the text editor and integrated development environment is, so now your IDE is having the capability to debug, and it is going to be guide in your programming. And no need of using the compilers to integrate with that. So and these IDEs will increases the programmer the productivity by including the features like we can edit your source code, and it is having inbuilt debugging features. And now you can find out that in IDEs, so we are getting the syntax is going to be highlighted. Like suppose for example in your program you're going to use the keywords, functions, or the libraries, it is going to be changed with the colors. So you can easily identify that. So what type of things you're going to written in your IDEs. And then it is a build executable, like it is integrated with the compiler and executable environment, what it is required for your programming. So we cannot move on to the other place to execute your programs, and which is having the debugging feature. So like your program is going to be not run in a proper way. Now you're going to use the debugger feature, so you can identify where the errors it will be. So and then we have many of IDEs are available for Python programming language, so which supported to write your Python code. So I just list out those, and I'll show you today how you're going to execute your Python program in your laptop. And tomorrow session I will show you what are different IDEs we have, for what purpose, what type of IDE we are going to use, because we already discussed as of now many of the applications we can build with your Python programming, and your Python is having many different types of libraries which is supported to build different types of applications. So you can observe that at the discussion of different applications, different types of libraries are going to use to build a different types of applications. The same libraries are not used in all applications, right? So depends on what type of application we are going to implement, depends on that. the capable of IDE we are going to use to write your Python programming language. So we have a different IDEs which is supported to write your Python programs. So I list out some of the IDEs. So those will be PyCharm, Visual Studio Code, Sublime, Atom, Jupyter Notebook, Spider, PyDev, Tony, Wings. So these are different IDEs where you can write your Python programs. Depends on the type of applications we are going to use. Depends on that we can choose an IDE for a basic programming, basic Python programming. So we cannot go for all these such type of IDEs. We can simply use Jupyter Notepad, and simply we can use PyCharm. So these are some IDEs which you are going to write your basic Python programming, and we can implement all the features of your Python program, that is of your procedural as well as an object oriented features. And as well as we can use your libraries like pandas and numpy and all these things, and we can implement the scientific and data mining algorithms. So for that it is enough to use this Jupyter Notebook, PyCharm, all these type of IDEs. So we'll discuss in deep about each and every IDE for what purpose we are going to use in tomorrow's session. So now I'll show you what are different versions what we discussed. So see here, suppose if you want to install a Python, so you just give this type in your Chrome itself. So here you can go with your official website, that is python.org. You just click on this. Now you can see the latest version is Python 3.10.5. So now you go on to this website, and I just move to down. Now you can see different versions which is available in Python programming, and when it is released, and how far it is going to be supported. So nowadays multiple versions of programming languages was invented. So now you can see those versions may or may not supported for a longer time. So because of that reason, when we go with this Python website, you can find out that so what are the different versions are available currently, and when it was released first time, and up to now, up to what it is going to be supported. See, for example, now you can see the version 3.10. So in 3.10 it may be of the version 3.10.1 or 10.2, 10.3, whatever it will be. So which will be in maintenance, that is of a bug fix purpose, and it was released in April 10th 2021, right? In last year April 10th it was released, and now it is going to be supported up to 10th month of 2026. So before that, your Python is going to be launched a new versions. So now this lower version, now it becomes a lower version, that is 3.10, which may not support all the features of Python programming. So because of that reason, so it is provided you for what time it is going to be supported. See, now you suppose in your system you are using the version 2.7. So now you're going to use that Python. It is not at all supported, because now you can see end of the support is given as 1/1/2020. So whatever the applications you are built with 2.7, So those applications are not run nowadays. That is the meaning of this. Now you can see end of life. So now no one can work on this 2.7 because now you are using 3.10 version. So which is having all the features of your 2.7. So it is a lower version, right? So because of that, it is not at all supported nowadays. So now you can see the versions of 3.7, 8, 9 and 10. It is going to be supported for a few years. Now you can see 3.7, it is going to be supported up to June 27, 2023. And after that, again, this is not going to be supported. So it is better to work with a current version. So try to install the current version of Python. So which is of Python 3.10.5. Now you are going to install. So for that you just click on download Python. So now you can see here the exe file is going to be downloaded. So which is very a less size, that is 27.3 MB of space it is going to be occupied. You just click on this. So now you can see because I'm already having Python version. So because of that it is asked me for modify or repair or something. So because I already installed this Python 3.10. So if you are installed for the first time, it will show you and it will guide you how you're going to install. You just click on install, right? So it is guided you because nowadays the software is getting installed very easily. So it doesn't require to ask you any custom things, like you just click on you just follow the window and you just click on next next. So that next is also for you can choose where your Python software is going to be installed, and you can choose the features what you are going to install with your Python version. So these are the things you are going to select in mean of installation of your Python programming. So after it getting installed successfully, so now you can search. So here I'm using, and my operating system here is Windows 11. So now you can see here Python 3.10.5 is already installed. So this is a command line argument mode, right? So when you install this Python, so it is installed both the GUI version as well as this command line. So now you can find here the command prompt. See here you are finding three arrows, right? So this is a command prompt. So here simply you can give all your instructions what you are doing with your Python. See here I'm given a simple instruction line. I'm going to add two numbers 3 plus 5. So because it is an interpreted programming language, so I can execute line by line the code. See for example, if I click on enter, it will show me the result. So this is a command line mode. Okay, so here itself you have to write your Python code and it is going to be executed. Right, suppose see for example, if you want to print hi, you just give a print and it is going to print a string. So whatever you want to code, the simply you can write that code at this command prompt and it is going to be executed. So this is a way how you're going to install your Python. So this is a basic class, like the introduction part, why Python programming, and what are the different applications we are going to implement with Python programming, and how we are going to install, where we are going to install. So this is a basic class. So from tomorrow onwards, we'll start with the Python programming. So like we can start with the syntax of Python programming, and then we'll move on to the next thing like variables, comments and everything. So I'll show you tomorrow and throughout the course what you're going to learn, I'll show you, and later we'll discuss each and every topic through that index. Okay, so for that today I'll close it, and I'll make some changes in this video and I'll give you privately in that group itself. I'll post it, just go through